Why are you so jealous? He's just touchy, she said while letting him put his arm around her. So I walked out without a word. Now he cheated on her. She's humiliated, and I'm with someone who actually respects me. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. I never thought the slow downfall of a relationship could feel like background noise. One moment, you're sharing grocery lists and inside jokes, and the next, you're walking around each other like polite strangers occupying the same square footage. But that's how it was with Emily. In the beginning, we were good, not perfect, but solid. She used to lean into me on the couch, stealing my hoodie when she pretended to be cold, even though I knew she wasn't. She'd text me things like, "You made my day." Nothing overly dramatic, just warmth. Somewhere along the way, that warmth turned into impatience. At first, I thought she was tired, stressed, going through something she didn't want to talk about. I gave her space. I didn't pry. I figured she'd eventually tell me what was on her mind. Instead, she changed, slowly, casually, like it was no big deal. More nights out with the girls. More new male friends I had never heard of before. More habits of leaving her phone face down. If I asked anything, even gently, she'd roll her eyes and say, "Relax. You're overthinking again." I wasn't, but I let it slide. She started dressing differently too, not in a bad way, just intentionally. Extra effort, but not for me. I noticed the shifts, longer time getting ready, new perfume, makeup done with more precision. And her laughter changed. I know that sounds stupid, but you learn someone's laugh when you love them. Hers used to be soft, genuine, a little snort when something was actually funny. Now it was louder, sharper, and directed at other people. Directed at one person in particular. Tyler. I didn't know him well, just a friend of a friend, who somehow kept showing up whenever Emily did. Tall, loud, the kind of guy who thinks the world pauses for him. Always touching someone, shoulder taps, hugs that linger just a second too long, hand on the small of someone's back when walking by. Emily thought the attention was flattering. I thought it was unimpressive, but I didn't police her. I never told her what to wear, where to go, who to talk to. I trusted her, maybe too easily. Still, it was obvious the dynamic between us had shifted. When we were alone, she seemed distracted, scrolling endlessly, liking posts she never would have before. She started following fitness influencers, boss babe types, and of course, Tyler. He commented constantly. She replied constantly. I said nothing. One night, she was sitting on the couch across from me, feet tucked under her, scrolling on her phone. She laughed at something and tilted the screen just enough for me to see a chat bubble pop up. A message from Tyler. I didn't read it. Didn't have to. The tone of her laugh told me everything. A soft unease settled in my stomach. Not jealousy, more like recognition. Like watching someone inch closer to a ledge and pretend they don't see it. But I stayed steady. Always steady. I cooked her dinner. She ate half and said she wasn't hungry. Then she went out with friends and returned smelling like cheap cologne layered under her own perfume. I knew exactly whose it was, but I still gave her the benefit of the doubt. Because that's who I was, loyal, patient, believing that communication matters, that relationships survive when you treat each other like partners rather than competition. Meanwhile, she started treating me like an inconvenience, like background noise. We still slept in the same bed, but she drifted closer and closer to the edge of it each night, as if even unconscious closeness irritated her. My friends noticed before I did. "You guys good?" one asked at a dinner. "Yeah," I said. "She's just stressed lately." He gave me a look, the kind that says you don't believe that either. But I held the line. Because the truth was, I wanted things to be good. I wanted us to work. I just didn't realize that she had already mentally left the relationship, and that her exit was going to be loud, humiliating, and completely intentional. The invitation came from one of Emily's friends, a casual get-together at an apartment downtown. Nothing fancy, just drinks, music, the usual. I wasn't excited, but I went because it felt like the polite thing to do. And because a part of me still hoped things might feel normal again if we were around other people. That illusion died the moment we walked in. Tyler was there. Of course he was. He had that grin, the kind that looks glued on, like it exists purely to announce he's the center of the room. He stood up when he saw Emily, but not for me. "Em, there you are," he said, pulling her into a hug that lasted long enough to feel intentional. She hugged back. Tight. I stayed calm. I didn't interrupt. I didn't make a scene. I just stepped aside and let the moment end on its own. Emily chirped, "Let's sit," and dragged me toward a corner sofa. But somehow, the space next to her stayed open, and the space next to me filled with someone else. Then Tyler casually slid into the spot beside Emily, close enough that his knee brushed hers. She didn't move away. She laughed, that loud, performative laugh, and threw her hair back, exposing her neck. He leaned in closer, saying something I couldn't hear over the music, but whatever it was, it made her smile too wide. I sat still, watching, not reacting. After a few minutes, his arms stretched behind her on the back of the couch, not touching her, but close enough that everyone in the room saw the territorial angle. She saw it too. She didn't flinch. I glanced at her, not accusing, not angry, just quietly taking in the disrespect. Her eyes flicked to mine, and instead of embarrassment or explanation, she gave me a smirk, like she wanted a reaction, like she was daring me to say something she could twist back on me. Tyler leaned even closer. His fingers brushed her shoulder, and she let him. That was the moment. The line crossed openly, in front of mutual friends, without a shred of subtlety. I asked one simple, steady question. Everything okay? I didn't raise my voice. I didn't posture. I didn't glare. It was just a quiet check-in, a human one. She turned her head sharply toward me and scoffed, loud enough for others to hear. Why are you so jealous? He's just touchy. A couple people looked over. Someone laughed under their breath. Tyler smirked like he'd won something. Her words hit harder than anything she'd ever said to me, not because of jealousy, but because she weaponized the moment. She took his behavior and flipped it onto me, just so she could embarrass me further. I didn't reply. I didn't argue. I didn't ask for clarity. I just sat there for 3 quiet seconds and studied her face. All ego, all smugness, zero awareness. Then I stood up. No sighing. No dramatic gestures. No loud exit. I just rose to my feet, smoothed my jacket, and said, very calmly, "Enjoy your night." Emily blinked. Her expression shifted from triumphant to confused. "What? Where are you going?" she asked, like my leaving was somehow inconvenient to her performance. I didn't look back. I didn't answer. I walked across the room, past the drink table, past the kitchen counter, past 2 people whispering. The music drowned everything else out. I stepped into the hallway, pressed the elevator button, and waited. No one followed. Doors closed. Silence. In that silence, something inside me snapped back into alignment. Not anger, clarity. A recognition of what I'd been quietly accepting, what I'd been excusing, what I'd been letting erode my self-respect. She had crossed a line in the most public, dismissive way possible. And I walked away. Not because I was jealous, but because I refused to sit next to someone who thought humiliating me counted as fun. That night became the turning point, the beginning of her downfall. And the moment I finally decided that no explanation was worth the disrespect she'd just served to me on a platter. When I got home that night, the apartment felt different. Not emptier, just calmer. Like the air itself exhaled once she wasn't in it. I sat on the edge of the bed, kicked off my shoes, and stared at the wall for a long moment. Not thinking, not spiraling, just letting the silence settle. Letting my own mind become still again. She didn't call, didn't text. I didn't either. That was the beauty of it, the first real peace I'd felt in months. The first text. The next day, around noon, she finally broke the silence. "Emily, wow. So you're just gonna be dramatic?" I looked at the message, held the phone in my hand for a few seconds, and set it face down. No reply. An hour later, "Emily, I don't know what your problem is, but that was rude." Rude. The irony wasn't even worth reacting to. I went to the gym instead, first time in a while. I ran until my lungs burned, lifted until my arms felt heavy. It wasn't self-improvement, it was recalibration. A reset. When I got home, there were 2 more messages. "Emily, if you're mad, just say so." "Emily, fine. Whatever." I still didn't answer. The shift. Over the next week, we existed in a strange limbo. Technically still together, but emotionally done. She started posting more, selfies, clubbing pics, cryptic captions like, "Do better, be better, want better." Her version of sending a message. Not to me. To her audience. Meanwhile, I didn't post anything. Didn't respond. Didn't feed the performance. Silence apparently drove her insane. One evening, she finally called. I answered. Not to reconcile, just to get closure. Her tone was lighter than it should have been. Hey, she said casually. So that weird moment at the party. You're not still upset, right? Why would I be? I asked. She hesitated. I could almost hear her brain scrambling to find the right spin. I mean, you know how Tyler is. He's just like that. He's friendly. You always take things too seriously. I stayed quiet, letting her talk herself into a corner. He listens to me, she continued. And you know, sometimes it feels like you. I don't know. You just don't understand me the way he does. There it was, the justification, the soft exit disguised as self-discovery. I asked one calm question. Is there something you want to say? She exhaled dramatically, as if exhausted by having to explain her own behavior. Maybe we're just different people. Maybe I need something more exciting. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I didn't list all the ways I'd been there for her, supported her, tolerated her disrespect. I just replied, take care. That stunned her into silence. A beat passed. Seriously? She said, suddenly sharp. That's it. Yes, I said. She waited for a speech. For a breakdown. For an emotional plea. None came. Whatever, she snapped. Tyler gets me anyway. Click. Call ended. The official switch. Her social media confirmed what she didn't need to say. New pics, new comments, new inside jokes. The shift was complete. One caption stood out. Let people go. Someone better always comes. Cute. Predictable. Harmless. I let her have her spotlight. Meanwhile, I recentered my life. Work, hobbies, sleep, actual rest. I started cooking again. Bought groceries that weren't just snacks and convenience food. My place stayed clean. The quiet didn't feel lonely. It felt earned. And for the first time in months, I felt grounded. While she was busy convincing the world, and herself, that she had upgraded, I simply existed. Level, stable, unaffected. She claimed she wanted excitement. What she actually wanted was attention. And she found it, in Tyler. But that choice came with consequences she didn't foresee. The unraveling was about to begin. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly, the way karma prefers to work. It took about 3 weeks. 3 weeks of silence from me and constant performance from her. 3 weeks of curated posts, staged smiles, tags, comments, and flirtatious emojis. And then the tone shifted. First subtle, then unmistakable. The first crack. Tyler stopped liking her posts. That was the first sign. She pretended not to notice. Then he stopped commenting. Then he stopped replying to her stories. And suddenly her profile stopped being a highlight reel and turned into a desperate scrapbook. More selfies. More forced positivity. More quotes about self-love and finding inner peace. It was obvious she was covering something up. But I didn't dig. Didn't stalk. Didn't pry. Others told me without me asking. One night, I bumped into a mutual friend at a grocery store. Casual conversation, nothing dramatic. He said, "Hey, you heard about Emily and Tyler?" No. He hesitated like he didn't want to stir drama. They're not good. He's kinda loud with other girls. Even when she's around. I nodded. Not surprising. He blinked, surprised at my calmness. Well, she's been asking about you. That made him uncomfortable. Like he expected me to be affected. I wasn't. I shrugged. People ask things. We parted ways. I didn't think much of it. But I knew something was unraveling, and fast. Her first real message. A couple days later, her name popped up on my phone. Emily. Hey, can we talk? I left it on read. Half an hour later, Emily. Things got weird with Tyler. He's not who I thought. No kidding. I didn't reply. 10 minutes later, she called. I let it ring out. She left a voicemail, a shaky, embarrassed voice I barely recognized. Hey, I know you don't owe me anything, but I feel stupid. I miss you, okay? I deleted the voicemail and returned to what I was doing. No emotional spike. No satisfaction pitfall. Just neutrality. The public issue. Another mutual friend messaged me the next day. Friend. Dude. Not to stir things, but Tyler showed up at the bar with 2 girls last night. Emily left crying. I typed back. Me. Got it. Thanks. Nothing more. No empathy. No commentary. Just acknowledgement. Her second crack, anger. Silence didn't sit well with her. The next day, she texted again. Emily, why are you ignoring me? We were together for years. I replied with deliberate slowness. Me? You're with someone else now. Talk to him. Her response came fast. Emily, he doesn't care like you did. He's not serious. He doesn't even listen. I typed nothing. Seconds later. Emily, I made a mistake, okay? Can you stop being cold for 5 seconds? Her desperation was rising. Not because she loved me, but because the attention she ditched me for had dried up. I still didn't feed it. The collapse. The next night, around midnight, there was a knock at my door. I ignored it. Knock again. Then her voice. Please, can we talk? I really messed things up. I didn't get up. Didn't check the peephole. Didn't open the door. Her voice cracked, but not with remorse, with frustration. Why are you doing this? Why won't you just talk to me? Then anger. You're being so immature. That word again, immature. Coming from someone who blew up our relationship in a room full of people just to impress a guy who didn't even want her. I stayed silent. Eventually, footsteps retreated. The hallway fell quiet. I didn't check if she texted afterward. I didn't feel curious. I didn't feel vindicated. I felt free. Her choices were catching up. Her illusion was dissolving. And for the first time, she was forced to face something she'd worked hard to avoid, life without me. I didn't think about Mara again until my phone buzzed one quiet morning. I assumed it was work. Instead, her name flashed across the screen, a message request on Instagram. The kind you only get when someone has blocked you before, unblocked you now, and is desperately hoping you'll respond. I didn't open it. I didn't have to. Because a minute later, another notification arrived, a forwarded screenshot from Tom. My friend group chat was apparently blowing up. Mara's new relationship, the one she flaunted, the one she used to justify her disrespect, had imploded exactly the way everyone but her saw coming. Her touchy guy was now too friendly, with multiple women. Her exact words from the party replayed in my mind like a bad joke. Why are you so jealous? He's just touchy, right? Except now she was the one pacing, crying, demanding explanations while he ignored her calls. She went from bragging to being humiliated in the same social circle she tried to impress. I scrolled through the messages. Her meltdown was public, loud, desperate. She wasn't asking for advice. She was asking for an audience. And I wasn't interested. I put my phone down and continued my day. Later that afternoon, I stopped by a cafe near the office. The cashier already knew my order by heart. Small routines, peaceful ones. They mattered more than any dramatic explosion happening somewhere else. As I waited, someone tapped my shoulder. It was her. Face blotchy. Mascara smeared. One shoe slightly bent, the heel clearly damaged, like she rushed out of the house without thinking. Her voice was shaky. Can we talk? There it was. The last predictable chapter. I stayed silent, not cold, just uninterested. She kept going, filling the quiet with explanations, excuses, confessions, circular logic. Words spilled out, none of them sharp enough to pierce me anymore. She said she missed how stable things were with me. She said she didn't appreciate me back then. She said everything I already knew she would eventually admit. When she realized I wasn't reacting, her tone shifted to pleading. Can we start over? I let the question hang between us until even she grew uncomfortable. Then I said the only thing that mattered. No. A simple, clean answer. No anger. No monologue. Just truth. I took my drink, walked past her, and stepped into sunlight that felt lighter than anything I'd carried back then. She turned to watch me walk away, quiet now, realizing she had nothing left to say. I didn't look back, because the story was over, and the ending belonged to me, not her. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.